I want to welcome everyone back to the J All Day NFL show. And I got a question for you guys. What on earth are the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones doing? Once again, they're nickel and diming their way through free agency, not improving this roster at all whatsoever. We're going to do a mock draft post free agency, but it's not going to change much because outside of Osa, they haven't done anything at all that's going to make this team a contender in 2025. If I'm Micah Parsons, I'm putting my price tag so high that the Cowboys have no choice but to shop me in a trade. Micah Parsons, Philly's looking nice, bro. But in all honesty, I would never want to play for the Cowboys. It is a dumpster fire organization. I'm sorry, Cowboys fans. Until Jerry Jones is not in charge anymore, you're not going to have a winning team. And as an Eagles fan, I love when the Cowboys are good. I like when the Giants are good. I love what the Commanders are doing. The Commanders are making big moves to compete, trading for Laremy Tunsil. That's how you compete in the NFC East, by making big deals. Take a look at your screen right here. When I was doing my draft coverage yesterday, the first breaking news, Cowboys free agent signing was a long snapper. 3 years, $4.5 million. Look at these deals. Not one over $10 million. I just don't understand. Javonte Williams, 1 year, $3 million. Robert Jones, 1 year, $4 million. Solomon Thomas, 2 years, $8 million. This is like the dollar store of the NFL, guys. I don't understand what the hell the Cowboys are doing. I just do not understand. Look at these deals. Trent Stigg, Marquise Bell, Wanya Thomas, Tyrese Wheat, Brock Hoffman. These guys don't even belong in the NFL. CJ Goodwin. It's a disaster. Osa Odenigbo got 4 years, $80 million. That was a solid deal. And then they signed returner, wide receiver, Cavante Turpin to a 3 year, $18 million deal. None of this makes the Cowboys better. It doesn't change anything. Cowboys fans, let's do a 7-round mock draft. All right, Cowboys fans, real quick, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm giving you all the updates you need to know about your Dallas Cowboys. When we're taking a look at this roster, guys, it doesn't look too promising. They paid Osa big-time money, $80 million contract, 68 grade last year, regressing considerably from 2023. 6'2", 280. Not a bunch of guys you want to write home about. Micah Parsons is a stud. Diggs and Bland are super injury prone. I do like Overshone. I think he has some talent. Hooker and Wilson, not a great year last year. And the offensive line, Tyler Guyton is not a left tackle in the NFL. He's a dumpster fire. They need to replace him, have him compete with Steele on the right side of the offensive line. Ferguson was awful last year. Cooks is gone. Tolbert, Brooks, and Lamb. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, this offense is pretty inefficient. They did bring in Javonte Williams from the Broncos, but he hasn't been good in 3 years. So another bargain basement deal that's not going to work out. All right, 7-round mock draft. Let's do it. All right, Dallas Cowboys fans, here we are, 12 overall in the first round. Couple of guys that I'm circling. James Pierce Jr., Luther Burden, Donovan Ezeraku. They're the guys I like the most for the Cowboys at 12. Jerry Jones is not doing you guys any favors. He's not bringing in anyone else. I don't know what they're doing, but if they want to keep Micah Parsons, or maybe if they want to trade him, I don't know what the heck's going to happen. But they need another edge defender. James Pierce Jr. is just too good to pass up in this spot. 21 sacks over the last 2 seasons. 71 hurries. Extremely impressive. 15 quarterback hits. The dude's a monster. Straight up. He's a monster. He's an athletic freak. 6'5", 243. He could be a difference maker, man, if they get him right. I like James Pierce Jr. I think he could be an excellent pass rusher at the NFL level. For me, Luther Burden's definitely in play. Is he worth the 12th overall pick? I'm not sure. As I'm looking at who's left on the board, not super promising. But at number 12, you got to go James Pierce Jr. to the Cowboys at number 12 in the first round. All right, Cowboys fans, you're up at 44 overall. The best guy on the board, Trey Amos. in my opinion, I really, really like. Jack Beck from TCU. A lot of people are really liking Betch. Really, really liking him. 6'2", 215. Yeah, he could be a number 2 wide receiver at the NFL level. Bringing in a wide receiver makes a ton of sense. Jalen Knowles on the board. Xavier Restrepo's on the board. Jaden Higgins went 39. I really like Jaden Higgins. Jalen Knoll also had a really good combine. It's a little bit of a reach in my opinion, but Betch from TCU, he's an excellent player, man. And that drop rate under 2% is amazing. 91 targets, 62 receptions, only 1 drop, 9 touchdowns. Betch is going to the Cowboys at 44 overall. They got their edge defender. They got their wide receiver, guys. A lot of middle round picks. Tons of 5s, couple 6s, and a 7. Third round pick. They got to hit a slam dunk here, guys. Mason Taylor, the tight end, makes a lot of sense. I don't know how much longer Jake Ferguson has. We'll have to see. Cam Williams on the board as well at the tackle spot. Chris Paul Jr., the linebacker, on the board as well. Bringing in a young running back could be very interesting for the Cowboys as well. But I think we want to go offensive line here. Wyatt Millam, 7A. He's a pretty good player, man. He played left tackle. He played guard. He played right tackle. I like his versatility. They need to bring in bodies and then just figure it out, right? They need the best players available. He's an excellent pass blocker. I like 7A. He's got good size too, 6'5", 336. He's got really good technique, and he's a great pass blocker, right? So, a guy like this is super valuable, whether he plays left tackle, right tackle, guard. I think at 6'5", 336, maybe he moves into guard. He needs to put on some strength a little bit for sure, especially in the run game. But I definitely think as a pass blocker, he's a solid guy in the 3rd round. Wyatt Millam, I really like as well. 3-year starter at left tackle. Maybe we bring him in and then compete with Guyton and let it shake out. He had really good games this year. It looks like he gassed out a little bit in the middle of the season. Then he played really well towards the end of the year, right? Played against not the biggest programs in the world. 62 grade, looks pretty bad, but then you look at, he went up against premier pass rushers in Abdul Carter. So, 91 overall grade, gave up no sacks in his college career. I like Wyatt Millam to the Cowboys at 76 overall. I think Millam probably goes in the 2nd round, late 2nd round. But if he's available, I like that pick. Now, in the 5th round, guys, bringing in a running back makes some sense to me. Trevor Etienne, Kalel Mullings from Michigan, another guy, averaged over 5 yards per carry. Zone grade and gap grade are both very, very respectable. Not really a passing threat out of the backfield at all. Only 8 targets, right? But he averaged over 5 yards per carry. That's very interesting. Trevor Etienne's more of a 3rd down back in the NFL, I think. I do like Kyle Monangai from Rutgers. Pretty solid guy, 5'9", 209. Marcus Yarns, another guy I really like. But I think it's Mullings in the 5th round for the Cowboys. I like Mullings. That's a solid pick. They brought in Javonte Williams. We'll see how that works out for the Cowboys. All right. Round 5 again. Quincy Riley's on the board. I really like him. He had a really good 2023. Regressed a little bit this year. Logan Brown's on the board. Cody Lindenberg. I like Danny Stutzman, the linebacker. Eric Kendricks hasn't been re-signed. He's probably going to walk in free agency. Bringing in a guy like Danny Stutzman, who's an excellent run defender. I like Danny Stutzman, man. He's a pretty good off-ball linebacker in this spot. Ingram Dawkins from Georgia, an edge defender. Bringing in the Georgia Bulldogs, always a good idea in my opinion. But for me, I want a solid linebacker. I think Stutzman fits that bill. A lot of people thought he was going to go the 2nd, 3rd round last year. I think he was dealing with some injuries, so I'm going to go with Stutzman in the 5th round, 170 overall. Only 2 picks later, Cowboys are on the board, 170 overall. 170 overall, guys, for the Cowboys. We're also at 174. Running back, I wouldn't mind bringing in another wide receiver, honestly. And then I could bring in a guy like Logan Brown, too. He's a pretty diverse guy. Played a little bit of left tackle his first year in college. Played a little bit of right tackle. Then he played all of his games this year at right tackle. Pretty solid overall, in my opinion. Marcus Yarns from Delaware is on the board. Tonka Hemingway, interior defensive lineman that I really, really like. 6'3", 288. Not the size I'm looking for right now. Jalen Lane from Virginia Tech. 5'10", 196. I like myself some Jalen Lane, man. Tim Smith from Alabama's on the board as well. Caleb Ranshaw is on the board as well. I like him. John Williams from Cincinnati, pretty solid pass blocker at 86.3. So, this is an interesting spot for them to be picking. Cody Simon, the linebacker, pretty solid player. As I'm looking, Quincy Riley's still on the board. Taking a flyer on him makes some sense, right? He didn't play that great this year, but 2023 he was an exceptional guy. Not the best run defender, though. So, where do we go for the Cowboys at 172? They got a lot of late-round picks. So, Tyler Shook, the quarterback, that's an interesting play as well. Tootin from Virginia Tech. Jalen Lane. I want to bring in another wide receiver in this room. He was pretty good in college. 7% drop rate. Almost a 70 wide receiving grade. He's a pretty solid guy. 12 yards per reception, 2 tutties. Jalen Lane's interesting. Let's just scan the board a little bit here in the 5th round. Jack Nelson, another guy I really, really like out of Wisconsin. We got one offensive lineman. I want to bring in another O-lineman. Jack Nelson. We need offensive line all day. Wyatt Millam can play all over the place, so I like him there. And then Jack Nelson's a sure left tackle. So Wyatt Millam can play guard. He could definitely kick out to either one of the tackle positions. And Jack Nelson's a true left tackle. I think that's great value in the 5th round. All right, now we're up at 174 overall. We've got 2 offensive linemen, a linebacker, edge defender. Tonka Hemingway's still on the board here, guys. Tim Smith from Alabama, interesting D lineman. I like his size, 6'4", 314. And bringing in the Alabama guys makes a ton of sense. Well-built interior defender, low pad level, big and strong and physical. He played everything. He's very versatile, and I like that in a defensive lineman. So, Cowboys 23%. You get your guy, Tim Smith, in the 5th round. All right, now we got 2 6th-round picks, 189 and 211 overall. Let's take a look and see if we can find some valuable. Caleb Ranshaw, another guy who played great in 2023, regressed considerably in this past season. I want to just bring in talent. We need talent in this room. Jalen Smith from USC is on the board. He had a great year. No touchdowns allowed. The cornerbacks have dealt with a ton of injuries for the Dallas Cowboys, right, guys? So adding another layer of depth makes a lot of sense. I'm going Jalen Smith in the 6th round. Now, pick 211 overall. We got some D-line guys. We got a little bit on the cornerback spot. I think tight end could be an interesting spot here as well. C.J. Dupree from Alabama, not really a focal point on that offense. Luke Lachey from Iowa, another guy's more of a blocker. Cam Horsley, the D lineman from Boston College, makes a lot of sense. Great run defender. I want to bring in some trench help, man, considerably for the Eagles. He's on my radar. Oronde Gadsden from Syracuse had a really good college career, man. 80 grades all 3 years, even though he didn't play in 2023. 2 of the 3 years, over 900 yards. He could be a focal point in this offense, especially late in the draft. Oronde Gadsden is a guy I'm definitely considering for sure. Jimmy Horn's on the board. Malachi Moore, the safety. He might be more of a 7th round guy. Gadsden's a very interesting late round tight end in this draft. So if we look at who we drafted so far, we got 1 wide receiver. Ty Felton from Maryland is a guy I've always thought was interesting. 78 overall grade. 6'2", 186. He was a featured wide receiver in Maryland's offense. I need more wide receivers for the Cowboys. Felton goes to the Cowboys at 211 overall. Now, we're up. Round 7, pick 249. Daryl Fairchild. Do we bring in another offensive lineman? Man, we really could. Shamel Mondon Jr. from Georgia. I love Georgia Bulldogs. They're gangsters. Always interesting. Kane Madrano is on the board. I'm just looking, seeing who's available here. Marcus Ware, I always liked his tape as well, guys. Dante Trader Jr. is on the board. I just want to bring in someone that could compete. I'm bringing in a Georgia Bulldog because I think this guy could play in the box, played in the slot, played on the D-line, versatile guy. He'd be a great special teamer. Shamel Mondon Jr. from the Georgia Bulldogs goes to the Cowboys in the 7th round. All right, Cowboys fans, I know it's been a very disappointing offseason so far in free agency. Jerry Jones has made no moves at all whatsoever. Very, very disappointing. B+ overall grade from PFF. James Pierce Jr., A. Jack Betch, A. Wyatt Millen, B-. Khalil Mullings, A-. And then Stutzman, Jack Nelson. I like Jack Nelson. Watch the tape. He's a very, very complete tackle. Tim Smith, I like. And then later in the draft, we did really well with Ty Felton and Shamel Mondon. Add some layers to this team. I don't know what Jerry Jones is doing right now. They have a lot of draft picks, so they're going to go for a youth movement, it looks like. So that means maybe Micah Parsons will be on the trade block. He doesn't seem too happy in Dallas, and forcing his way out could be, unfortunately, what's going to happen with him. Let me know in the comments below. Are you happy with what Jerry Jones is doing with his team and how he's running this organization? And do you like my draft picks? I would love to know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the J All Day NFL Show. Peace.